Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Wings of Kani, Episode 8, Gambler.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
Ord Ibana, 6 years ago. All of the talking and music slowly come to a stop. The patrons of the Electro Flask look up as a red-skinned Twi'lek woman walks through the door and up to the bar. She wears a black blast vest, a loose flowing black skirt, and on her back is the metal disc of an Inquisitor's saber. From her pocket, she takes out a hollow cube and shows an image to the bartender.
Has anyone seen this man? He is a traitor, a Jedi.
She looks around the bar and settles her gaze on a nervous-looking man trying desperately to avoid her eyes.
You. What's your name?
Luca.
Luca. Do you know that harboring a Jedi is punishable by death?
No Jedi. No Jedi here, ma'am.
No Jedi.
She looks around the room.
See that it stays that way. If I find that anyone is withholding information about this man.
She lets the silent threat hang in the air as she leaves the cantina.
For millennia, the Takani lived in peace, in communion with their homeworld of Kani. The Galactic Civil War forced the Takani to leave their home. Together with the Kida and the 11 synthetic Venko, the denizens of Kani and their fleet gather unlikely allies in their search for a new home.
A forest moon orbiting a green gas giant. The text reads, Alaris Prime, Kashyyyk system. Several spacecraft flying in formation cross the foreground towards the moon. Cut to the surface, those same spacecraft now fly overhead, high above the trees. In their wake, plumes of fire and smoke. We see an immense structure hidden among the hills and green growth. Outside, a decimator, a ground vehicle with mounted turbo lasers, splits one of the invading dropships. Wookiee warriors roar in triumph. But one among them does not celebrate. The Wookiee turns, his fur charred, shrapnel embedded in his torso and head, one eye sealed shut by the wound. He looks past the camera and raises his weapon. Flashes of blaster fire and explosions. Warriors fall. Droids are thrown by the heavy impacts of bowcasters, and then silence and darkness. We see the one-eyed warrior wake. His vision is blurry. He tries to stand, but he is restrained, being dragged away from the battlefield by two heavy droids. The skies are clear now, and the separatist force is retreating. The last thing he sees before his strength fades is a Republic dropship in the distance. A man, dressed in the armor of the clones, a general with a blue lightsaber, fighting alongside the Wookiees. Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Devin, and this is where the fun begins.
Hey everyone, Dan here, playing Zeta the Venko.
Hey folks, this is John. I'm playing Rish Kantari, the pod racer mechanic, as well as S3, the astromech.
Hey, this is Jake playing San Tavar. Totally just a guy in a cloak, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to see
Totally
here.
not suspicious.
This is not the Jedi you're looking for.
And you were not just outed by Luca at the Electro Flask yelling no Jedi because he is clearly drunk and the bartender tells him, shut up. Sorry about that. Welcome to the Electro Flask. And the music starts to play.
I chuckle at the Jedi comment. Imagine.
A couple of fluorescent green beverages are lined up on the bar. Sorry, we only got one drink today.
I use the force to pull it over to me.
Keep it, please.
I'll take 2.
Another one comes up, sloshes. It's a lot more viscous than what is approachable.
I
Reese
hold
downs it.
I hold it up and I look at Zeta and I say, I believe it's called a Carillion reactor core.
That seems ill-advised to put into your body.
It's just a name.
Yeah, it's because it tastes like oil and wasted, like chemical waste, all kind of combined into one. It's pretty good, actually, when you get used to it.
Who is currently...
I drink it.
It's actually not bad.
Sweeter than I expected.
Yeah, that's a waste taste. It's always sweeter than you think it's going to be.
Like antifreeze.
Antifreeze.
That's why dogs love it so much.
It's garnished with a Tide Pod.
Who is currently in charge here?
In charge of the bar?
I am. The woman leans up on the bar.
I would like to discuss mining the asteroid belt with you.
Honey. She just shakes her head.
Don't worry, he's just joking.
Oh.
He's got a really dry sense of humor.
Yeah, he looks dry. Listen, we got food, we got music. With anything else you want, talk to one of the servers. I got work to do. Welcome to the Hydro Flask. She turns and walks away.
Electrofast.
You mean the Electro Flask?
Welcome to the Electro Flask.
Sponsored by Hydro Flask.
Any similarities to any brands, real or imagined, are purely a work of fiction and hypothetical.
Do you take New Republic and Imperial credits?
We do.
Good to know. I get it. I take another drink.
If not her, then who are we to discuss our current issues?
Probably Typhon.
And to get to him, we'll need to get, some racer won or help someone win or make ourselves known, big bet, something with that pod race.
I do not follow.
We need to get noticed. We're new here. He has no reason to think that we have any significance to his plans. We need to make him think that we're worth talking to.
We could introduce ourselves.
It's not quite that easy. Those guards on the steps, they said he's a busy man and he doesn't waste his time with everyone who wants an ear.
We really don't have much to offer him, to be quite honest. Maybe the hypercore back in Dodori 6, but beyond that, our value is what we can show.
We have to be careful not to show too much.
Right.
When does the race begin?
We don't want the wrong kind of attention. 3 days.
Caldo could return to Dodori 6 and make it back with the hypercore if that is the path we choose.
Well, we would even need to make sure that he wants it, that he's willing to trade it for Dio, that we want to trade it for Dio. I mean, we were going to use that hypercore, bring it back to the fleet for bartering for food. I know, he's one of your brothers, or one of your siblings.
The fleet abandoned him. Therefore, we could use the hyperdrive to barter it back.
Maybe. But even then, we would have to get an audience with Typhon. If we just show up with a hypercore, well, there's a lot of pirates, if you haven't noticed, in this system. We would need his guarantee to even make it to the gates of his tower without getting robbed.
And in order to gain audience, we need to be noticed.
Yeah, I was thinking, son, and maybe it's the Carillion reactor core talking, but, you know, why put our money in...
Zeta studies the drink when he says that. Yeah. Very closely to see if there's any way it could be communicating.
There's some like bubbles that are popping up that you might think is a reaction happening within the
He
beverage.
listens closely.
Zeta is data.
Yeah, very pulling a lot from data.
I love it.
What if, we're not going to put all our effort into helping somebody else win? Why don't we win?
You have a pod racer.
No, but get one or cobble one together.
In 3 days.
We
Yeah.
just discussed our limited assets.
Yeah, but,
Have you ever raced a pod racer before?
not a
I'm watching his argument just plummet into the ground like a little kid.
Not a pod racer per se, but I've been in my fair share of high-speed pursuits before. Look, we're gonna help someone else win and get noticed, and even then, we're gonna bet with these Imperial or whatever Republic or Imperial credits we have left after the bill. That's not gonna be enough to get noticed by Typhon. But if we can cobble together a pod and win those engines,
And then we have something to trade to.
right, and you all can help me win.
They
Zeta.
call the track the Abyss for a reason. Have you seen it?
I have, but I have the utmost confidence if I can have S3 with me and you both watching.
Well, what would you need?
A pod, something at least somewhat decent, then I can modify it. Maybe borrow some parts from the Wandering Star, but then have time to put it together.
It is likely that we would need the Wandering Star to provide collateral for any pod racing you would wish to pursue.
Probably, especially for a pod racer at such a short notice.
No one's going to place a bet on an unknown in a scrap-built pod that was made in 3 days. But perhaps that's to our advantage. If no one places a bet, Typhon wins.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, if they all bet on this Guido to win, and he doesn't, all that money goes to the house. And heck, maybe we bet on me.
Assuming you don't die in the process.
Assuming I don't die in the process. He kind of waves his hand, takes another gulp of the drink.
You're going to have 3 days to build a pod and learn the track.
Yeah. I'm a fast learner. Just ask S3. It goes beep 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 bop bop. No. I know when I crashed that one time, but it'll be fine.
Dan, Zeta has like a little sort of drone type.
He's got a B1.
Oh, is
battle.
that it? I thought you had like a floating one as well. Like, did you have some sort of scouty one? No.
No,
Just
we had a Scouty one
From
from the
Imperials.
Dory 6 from the Imperial.
Okay, all right. We don't have that guy anymore.
no, he blew up in the in the control tower.
Yep.
Well, we have a lot of work to do then.
Look, that's what I think is the most prudent.
What was your droid idea, though, Jake?
My thought was just using a droid to map the course so that, he could
Go ahead and bring it
know
up.
the. Yeah, I do think one of the main problems is going to be that these racers have been practicing on this course for who knows how long. You don't know it at all.
Yeah, and probably we'll have maybe a day to learn it.
If we could map it and get that map into S3, that would help.
Yeah, you could help me, especially with the reaction times.
Mapping can be performed by a droid.
If only we had that recon droid from the Imperials.
Unnecessary. I will bind one.
You can just take over any droid. It doesn't have to be one that you own.
That is correct.
And they won't know the owners that is?
It is likely they will notice that it is missing. I will give it a new prime directive.
Destroy all humans.
Well, I'm fine.
Good.
Well then, I suppose you should start looking for a pod.
Yeah.
And I will find out about the competition, see who we have to worry about, and see if we can find some sort of edge.
All right.
Zeta, you can take care of mapping?
That is correct.
All right.
Hey, miss.
Yes, dear.
Another drink, and where do the pod racers, where do they usually hang out?
A lot of them hang out at the heap. It's the floating platform. It's where all the dealers hang out. All the scrap yards, all the busted pods, anything that they can salvage, all ends up there.
Perfect. Thank you. Who are you betting on?
It's got to be Gidu.
I've been hearing a lot about Gidu.
Yeah, it comes from Jakku. Big winner over there.
Well, I guess I know where I'm going. And you too, son. If they're hanging out over there, you'll have a chance to talk to them.
All right. Meet you back here in a few hours, Zeta?
Affirmative.
Great idea, leaving him alone. Leaving the 4-month-old alone.
Goo goo gaga.
See him take a look at that Corellian reactor core.
Mm-hmm. He looks at it one more time suspiciously.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. San and Rij, you're going to head over to the heap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a gondola that sort of it takes you out into the middle of this sort of web-like structure, and you see the heap is sort of floating. And every once in a while, it does sort of these laps, but it comes over in the gondola. It's in a sort of waiting position for a few minutes, and then it slides along the wire, and it touches down on the heap. You see just all around you, all around the edge, there's this big retaining wall with different compartments with different materials. There's plating, there's engine parts, there's connectors, they're all sort of sorted like you go to a landscaping sort of facility and there's mulch here and gravel here. They're all sort of partitioned out, all these different things. There's a large sort of warehouse. You can see the flashes of arc welders and repairs being done. You see a couple of smaller craft are sort of parked, groups of people hanging out. And you actually do see some pod racers, some of them they're in different states of repair, but you see some are whole, some are not. You see some of those booster engines are just sort of sitting freely on cinder blocks. All kinds of stuff here.
Blocks.
I'm sorry. Edit that out. The smell of Duracrete powder fills the air, hot metal, and the sound of conversation and boosters firing fills this space. It seems like outside of you, that city seems distant. That little downtown seems distant. The spaceport still busy with ships coming and going seems busy, and you have this little oasis here of mechanical doodads and gadgets.
Now this is home, son.
Again, a lot of droids too.
Yeah. Used to work in a place kind of like this back before the Imperials took over.
Well, plenty more popping up now. There's a lot of Star Destroyers to be disassembled.
Yeah. That's true. We'll see if we can find someone who's amenable to our proposition. If you want to keep an eye out for Gidu, probably.
Any of this equipment look useful?
Most of it's trash, but I think I see a couple pieces that are might be functional without much effort. There's a whole one right there being disassembled. Looks like it crashed or one of the engines burnt out.
You see there's a Jawa. It's escorted by a couple of droids and a protocol droid. And it's sort of, the protocol droid has a data pad in its hand, and it's following the Jawa around, and the Jawa's looks like it's talking and pointing and moving around, much like someone doing inventory.
Reese walks up to the protocol droid.
It turns its head. Bzz.
Hey,
Greetings.
he run this shop?
Yes.
We're looking to get into, well, see, I had a pod racer, crashed. I need to replace it for the race coming up. You got anything usable, flying, but maybe not, too pricey?
Nodini!
Come over here.
And it's like pointing at a couple of different areas. The droid looks out. Yes, we have several prefabricated models, as well as others ready to be assembled.
Great. Well, how much are we talking here?
Do you intend to use galactic credits or barter?
Barter. Make you a deal. We win. We'll give you what we bet on ourselves. It's going to be high odds, so it's going to be a big return.
Many ships are lost to the abyss. There is a low chance that a new racer would take on a new vessel and win.
We lose, or I'm lost to the abyss. You get the transport vehicle.
The Deepwater class freighter.
You've seen it.
The droid articulates its head a few times. Yes.
Yes, that one. Moncall Manufacturing. You can go underwater, but I don't think that's much use on this planet.
Give me a roll.
I hold up a hand and I say, if I may amend the deal. If he is lost to the abyss, you get the freighter. If he simply loses the race, which will only happen if this equipment fails, then you get your equipment back, and that is all.
Sounds like a suave to me.
That does sound like a suave.
You don't want the embarrassment of selling us a piece of equipment that fails during the most important race, do you?
How much do you know about Jawas?
I don't know.
Okay. Give me an aid or interfere.
Aid or interfere. Either way, am I rolling?
Give it aid. If it goes poorly, you will interfere.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, +1.
I need it because I have a -1 suave.
Okay.
Ooh.
Straight roll.
Failed. 6.
Okay, mark experience.
I leveled up.
Level up your piloting
You get a
skill.
move right away.
Something piloting.
We will accept this deal, but the light freighter will remain at this facility until the end of the race. Your B-1 battle droid stays as well.
Rage looks at Son.
A nod.
You have a deal.
Very well. Sign here. Turns the data pad over to you.
Rage signs it.
Best of luck.
You stand to profit quite a bit at this point if we win.
The droid just looks at you.
One
The
might
Jawa
say-
walked away.
One might say it is in your master's best interest to ensure our victory. Do you have any parts in this junkyard that might aid in this?
Right this way. Brings you to one of those bins, those cubbies that have all kinds of parts. We will have a crate along shortly. Feel free to fit the racer with anything you need.
What sort of ship does Guido Cara pilot?
It is a custom vessel. 4 symmetrical boosters. A heavier vessel, but great bursts of speed.
Are there other people here shopping, kind of looking through the scrap, like other pilots?
Sure.
I'm going to kind of make my way around and just get a feel for who they are. Maybe introduce myself to a few of them.
Okay. Give me a roll, and then
You're
instead
gonna hit
of
the Duracrete?
And then
hit the Duracrete.
That's
what am I rolling?
with Suave.
It is suave.
I rolled an 11.
Jeez.
Dang.
When you hit the Duracrete, on a 7 to 9, information comes at a price. On a hit, you find what you're looking for or near enough. So what do you want to know?
So the story I'm kind of going with is that I'm a wealthy noble who is trying to figure out who I should put my money on. So I want to know who, besides Gidu, because I want to come across as someone who is maybe a little risky with my money and would rather make the riskier yet educated choice. So besides Gidu, who is a good bet, and I'd really like to meet these people because I can tell when I shake someone's hand if they're kind of. So I want to know who we should sort of look out for in this race, like who is actually going to be competition, and maybe a bit about their personalities.
So you obviously hear about Gidu. Gidu is a clear favorite, but Gidu raced on Jakku, which is a desert planet, and there's a lot of there's those big open areas. This is a much narrower track. It's smaller, it's faster, quicker turns. So there's another racer named Manu, and Manu actually used to race here. This is their first race back since official pod racing was reinstated, official in quotes. But Manu is much more familiar with this particular track, and their vessel is pretty quick.
What race is Manu?
Manu is a Doug.
A Doug?
A Doug. Sebulba is a Doug.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
They are very skilled, tech pilots. They have 4 limbs that can all be used.
Oh yeah, I remember.
That can all be used to manipulate controls.
Cool. All right. So they're the two main ones I hear about.
Yep. Manu, not so much. It's really people who are familiar who've been in the pod racing scene know about Manu, but
all right.
Gidu is just the one that everyone, it's come from far away, is a pretty prolific racer, but Manu is sort of a dark horse.
Okay. I say to Rij, I'm going to head back to the cantina. I've got some information. We'll speak later.
Yeah, I need to get some of these parts and get them shipped over.
Rij, why don't you give me a roll? We can sort of do some shopping for some tags that you want to add to your pod racer.
Yeah, let me roll first. Plus Kani, I assume.
Yep.
Shit.
Leveling up.
No, I'm going to use a point of luck.
Sure.
Wow.
Rij is digging through this pile of junk, and he realizes that the overheating engines are worse than what he was described. That the cooling system is completely shot on the engines that are on this pod racer. So he's worried that he's going to have to replace them. And there's all the engines that he can find in this heap are just completely destroyed or totally torn apart for parts. He's digging through. He's has his hands on his hips looking through this pile. And then Estri goes, beep, boop, beep, bop, bop, and then rolls over to this pile off to the side, kind of hidden behind a couple of husks. And Rij kind of pokes his head out and says, yeah, those are income 2A fission engines off of Z95 Headhunter. Remember when we modified them on that sled to run away from that Imperial garrison? Hey, well, these will do nicely. Let's get them pulled out. And he gets a sled and gets them attached or hooked up and brought over to the pod racer. So it's going to be tags are probably going to be reliable because they're older engines, but they're much more well serviced.
Yep.
And starfighter engines, so it's going to be high speed.
Okay. And I'll say for your third hold, if you want to remove that runs hot tag.
Yeah, that's basically what he's doing. He's replacing the engines with ones that function.
Cool. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for another roll once you start working on this to incorporate a bay for S3.
Yep.
Cool. So I gave you at the beginning, the initial racer, I gave you light and runs hot. We removed that runs hot tag and added reliable and starfighter engine. So you start getting that stuff together. Yeah, there's a couple of sleds are made available to you. And some of the other pilots are actually looking at you as pretty much this prefabricated model is being packaged up. There's some conversation among them. They seem to be sizing up you as a pilot, you as a person, and your equipment.
I look over. I say, "Ha! You missed these." He kind of pats the engines on the sled.
Someone points and like, did you know that those were there?
A little too old for you young bloods, huh?
Yeah, a lot of them look young. They chuckle and laugh and then return to their business.
They say, all right, boomer.
All right, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
None of these pod racers have seatbelts, by the way.
Oh, no. Ralph Nader will be so sad.
So we see Rej S3 working on this equipment. We see San getting onto this gondola and heading back over towards the cantina. What's Zeta doing?
Zeta walks out of the headquarters and looks around at the square. He has a specific droid in mind. He wants one with micro repulsor lifts,
Okay.
one that can hover and scan the track remotely. And I think I should probably roll Hit the Durcrete, which is if you're looking shopping for something special or asking questions, that kind of thing. It's more of an observational thing on my part.
Sure.
But he's trying to find the right type of droid to put the moves on, so to speak.
Sure.
Ooh.
That's an 8.
Okay. You walk around and you have sort of a sense for these droids, right? You are able to pick up their signals as they move about. Again, there's a lot of droids here on these platforms, but the ones that are in the air, they're very specific. A lot of them are refurbished Imperial spy droids.
Okay.
And they are buzzing about overhead. They do have like repulsor lifts, and some of them are pretty advanced, and there's no visible propulsion on them, and they're just gliding around. The complication is that you believe many of them are interfaced and networked together. So whoever does operate these would notice if one went missing, unless there were some sort of countermeasure. You're able to counteract that network in some way.
What Zeta does, he kind of picks one and begins following it through this city. And he knows that it's likely that they return to a hub in order to download their information or recharge. And so he's trying to track it through the city in order to find where it docks.
Okay. I want another roll.
Sure.
Give me an assess.
Sure. Maybe just for a 7.
Okay. Every once in a while, you see them. The only place that you're able to see that they actually return to inside is that tower, that central tower.
Gross.
Unreachable unless you want to go through a couple of burly-looking Twi'leks.
Sure.
What you do notice is there's a couple of them. They look like older ones, not as advanced as those refurbished spy droids that move along the gondola wire. Every once in a while, when there's a wind that blows, they'll knock against the gondola, or they'll get sort of tripped up in the wire. And you think if there was a sort of accident and one of them were to be disabled, one could easily assume that it would fall into the abyss. An accident.
Sure. Zeta moves towards these areas where the gondolas dock or kind of land to debark, and he waits kind of patiently, like he's waiting in line, and he waits for one of these droids. Are they a type of maintenance droid, maybe?
Very similar. They're very, very simple.
Okay. As one of the gondolas comes in and one of these droids trails it, he's going to wait. And once it is in range to which he can communicate with it, he is going to assign it a new location to observe. One that he can, maybe he'll assign it to the landing dock 4.
Okay.
To where the ship was.
Yep.
To observe the ship.
Okay.
And then he'll make his way there.
Okay. Do you have to make a roll to perform the binding?
It's so that I think might be when I can get my hands on it.
Okay.
This is sort of just trying to use the black hat in order to send it a new signal.
Okay. Yeah, do that. Trying to overwrite a sort of core.
8.
Okay. It adds, you sort of just add something to its queue, and it turns and zips towards across open space towards the spaceport.
I step into the gondola.
Yep. You know that once it gets there, it will have registered its task complete and return. So you need to get there before it does.
Okay. I get in the gondola. I wait kind of impatiently for him to hit the lever, and the gondola starts to zip across the
guy on the levers. Someone comes in that it looks like they recognize, and they start chatting a little bit too long, and then eventually they hit the levers.
I shoot him.
So he's dead. And the gondola makes its way across.
There's this moment where Zeta's standing in the gondola, and it slowly starts to take over the droid. It's zipping across, and he's just watching it, waiting. And then as soon as the doors open, he kind of walks hurriedly back towards the ship.
Okay.
Which isn't there anymore.
You walk towards landing pad 4, and the ship is not there.
Damn pirates.
He looks blankly at it for a second, and then the droid kind of flies in, coming down, and he forgets the ship for a second. And as soon as it's within like reaching distance, he lunges for it.
Okay. Give me plus rugged.
Oh boy. That's a big old miss.
Oh.
Fail. You grab it.
Uh-oh. I don't like that.
You have it.
Yeah, I got a 2, just for the record.
Ooh. Woof.
I have a -1 and I rolled a 2 and a 1. So, yeah, I grab it. And
no problem.
No, not suspicious at all.
You grab it.
He grabs it and holds it with both hands and begins this process to bind the droid to a new primary function.
You feel this sort of gyroscope spinning within it, trying to lift off, and it slows down, and then it becomes docile, and it's just buzzing in your hand, waiting for a command.
Back at the security office, there's just like this fisheye lens of Zeta's face, like stuffed into the camera. He gives it a new directive to analyze and scan the track and to return with the information to this location.
You release the droid, it zips off, and then down, disappears below your field of view.
Zeta turns his attention back to the empty dock. He kind of just stands there inertly. He tends not to move or make any kind of unnecessary actions, especially as he's so hungry at the moment. And he opens his comm.
Okay.
Our ship has been stolen.
It's all right, Zeta. The ship is safe. We had to put it up as collateral. I'm back at the electro flask. I suppose we can stay here.
A familiar-looking hollow droid, similar model that you use on the space station renewal. It's older. It walks and stands in the middle of platform 4, and it spins around, and it sees you, and it walks over. I'm here to collect the B1 battle droid.
I do not understand.
It has a data pad in its hand. It shows it to you. It shows a signature. Rij Kantari.
The comms click on again.
Deep water class freighter, B1 battle droid.
Part of the deal included the B1 battle droid. Is that correct?
Collateral.
You hear the signal click off again. He turns to the droid and he says, the B1 is aboard the Wandering Star. Doesn't explain anything further.
The B1 is aboard the Wandering Star. It looks at its data pad, turns around, and walks away.
We're just like, dialoguing back and forth.
You made a friend.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Did I heal that one wound that I had from the last adventure?
Yes. Yes. A day in hyperspace, you're able to
Use a med kit.
use
Yeah.
some of that spray that creates new skin.
I calm you again. I say, I'm at the Electro Flask. If you want, I can explain it to you here. We have a lot to do, though.
I must wait for the return of the surveillance droid. I will come afterwards.
It takes an hour, 90 minutes maybe, space minutes. Longer than a standard minute. People don't know.
They're relative.
And it comes back to you, and it has, you hold it in your hand again, and all that information is on the droid. You can communicate with it.
Yep. He pulls the information off onto a data pad that he has on his bandolier.
Sure.
And then releases it and removes that primary function from its queue list.
Okay. And it zips and it heads back towards the tower.
He goes back to the gondola and heads to the electro flask.
Okay.
So, Devin, over the next day and a half,
Sure.
I want to change the narrative. I want
Do you want my notes here? Just take my
Fake news.
I want to get people in general to start thinking Manu is the one to bet on. I want to start kind of spreading gossip about the problems with Gidu, how his he's used to like flat open spaces. He's not used to the turns and the curves. Suggesting that there's actually a big side bet that says he goes off the like a certain corner. And maybe I get that information off the map. Like, there's a side bet that he goes off this corner, like, cause he just doesn't have the maneuverability. And really start getting people to think Manu is the guy to bet on because he's local. He knows the track. He might not be as fast, but he doesn't have to be as fast because of the track. So I want over the next day and a half to talk to people all around and kind of just get this rumor floated.
Put the word out.
And I want to kind of test how well that goes by going back to my Twi'lek buddy and asking him if he's still betting on Gidu and seeing if the information the telephone game got to him.
Okay, cool. You're going to put the word out. You don't have to spend credits for this. Yeah, give me a roll. 1 to 3 credits and roll with the cred spent. Do you want to use another thing to augment your?
I was going to say,
convincing?
can I don't. I mean, it would be
Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, can I use the Force like as I'm talking to people to like
Yeah.
So do you want me to make 2 rolls?
That's what good guy Jedi do.
Give me plus deep, and then I'm gonna ask for a plus suave.
So here's my deep roll.
I used my Jedi powers to alter the gambling.
I rolled a 5 on my deep roll. I rolled a 3 on the dice.
Okay.
Plus 2. So I failed.
Hold 3.
For our audience, that means dark side's creeping in.
I'm just trying to figure out where to put that dark side point.
Be suave, probably.
Yeah, probably suave. That's a treachery. Treacherous is the opposite of suave. So I'd say that's pretty appropriate. Feeling a little treacherous.
Okay.
And then a suave roll.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
You a treacherous roll?
Treacherous.
I'll say this. You have 3 hold.
Mm-hmm.
You can use and split them up between the public and what people are thinking and how they are feeling up until the race. You could also use hold to affect other racers.
Okay, that was my end goal, because my next goal after spreading this information was to actually try to get a meeting with Guido Cara.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to use. I want this information to get to him.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do 2 and 1.
Sure.
1 for the public, 2 for him.
All right. Give me a suave roll, and then we'll deal with Guido when we
Sure.
get to him.
I rolled a 7 for suave.
Okay. It's a hot topic now. People are getting fired up about the race.
If that is apply leverage, then it counts as a 10. I don't know.
Okay.
Trained diplomat.
There's a serious debate going on now.
Nice.
Between Guido and Manu. You actually hear that both Guido and Manu, they've actually been on they have ships in orbit, and they've retreated to their ships in the days before the race, which is strange because Guido is known as being a sort of flamboyant figure, very popular, a true entertainer, but has not been seen.
Cool.
You do know that he has like a pit crew that operates on the heap. Rij,
Yep.
All of the equipment you have, everything is brought to you. We'll say, for the sake of having space, landing pad 4. Things were delivered to that landing pad 4. You paid for it.
Yeah.
And so that's a space that you have now to prep your pod racer.
Yeah, Rij has both of the original engines disassembled and removed, and the Z95 engines kind of hooked up, getting the couplers retuned to contain the engines and get them ready for atmospheric run as opposed to space running, to be more optimized for atmospheric running.
Give me a roll. We'll say you were able to, some of your workshop, some of your, especially like those heavy duty tools, you have them still at your disposal.
Okay.
The Jawa is not unreasonable.
That is an 8.
Okay. What do you get with an 8 on your
Technical
workshop?
Or
technical savant.
Workspace I don't really roll. It's more of
You're just able to use it.
You give me conditions for it. Savant is I can ask a question. There's afterburners on the original engines, and I'm going to say, how can I safely dismantle the engine and place it on the Z95 engines?
We'll say that you can do it, but that's going to take up most of the time before the race.
So no time for practicing.
No. In the in-between time, S3 does have all of the specs. So you're able to see the track, but you just haven't been able to, you're not going to be able to run it. But I'll also give you that you're going to be able to install S3 into the racer as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's more important to get him installed. So yeah, he'll take the time to basically dismantle the pod cockpit and add a section behind to hook him up. It's very hodgepodge, just like a couple basically ratchet straps to hold S3 in.
Bungee cord.
S3 hates it.
Yep.
Space straps.
Yep, space straps. And then there's a couple afterburners from that's maybe where I get the high speed tag from.
Yep.
From the original engines attached to the Z95 headhunter engines.
Zeta
is at maybe a cantina with San. And after he's kind of gone around speaking to different people, filtering information about Manu. And when he comes back, Zeta addresses San and he says, I have come to understand that pirates typically do not follow laws.
That's correct.
Are we beholden to laws?
We are not.
He pauses for a moment, and then, it is possible I can affect the outcome of the race.
Tell me.
We're sitting at like a bar that overlooks maybe the square. It's transparent steel, looks out over it, and it's wide array of people coming and going, people on speeders, swoops.
Rij was supposed to meet you here, but he hasn't.
Okay.
He's been pretty incommunicado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he says, the swoop. He points to one kind of like buzzing across the square. He holds out his hand and turns the palm kind of face up. And you can see for the first time on his fingertips, there looks like there's almost metallic resistors or connectors where you know that he often touches machines in order to interact with them. They kind of faintly glow, and then you look up and you can see that the swoop has come to a very sudden stop. And the rider is now off of it. He's trying to figure out what's gone wrong with it, and it's just sitting there, inert, on the ground.
You use the Force.
No.
Yes.
No.
What did you do then?
I asked the swoop to stop operating.
You reached out to it.
I communicated with it.
Yes. The Force exists within all things, living and inert. We communicate with these energy fields in different ways, but what we do is very similar.
That sounds like circular logic.
What do you need in order to do this? Just to be close?
With vehicles of this size, not necessarily.
What if there's security?
If I am noticed and they understand what I am doing,
No, I mean security systems in place on the swoop.
it is possible that they may provide an obstacle, but unlikely.
How can I help?
Tell me which one to stop.
Oh, that's easy.
Very well.
You see, for the first time, so the race is tomorrow, and you see out on the track, the abyss below where this cantina sits, you see this pod racer, 4 big engines. They're sort of triangular outwards, and has these big roaring engines, and the racer seems to be moving along the track at a medium pace.
The real one to look out for is Manu. Gidokara is a problem as well, but Manu is the one that's going to be the biggest threat in this race.
It is critical that we win.
It is. I'm going to speak with Gidokara.
Based on my assessment, it may be suspicious if more than one of these vehicles is stopped. Please factor that in when you decide which vehicle I should stop.
It's Manu. He's the one you're after.
Very well.
I need a device.
Elaborate.
I know you don't need it, but I need something that we can put on Manu's craft that you would be able to control it remotely.
I do not need that sort of interface.
I understand, but it needs to look like you do need it.
Very well.
Or better yet, it needs to look like Gidu needs it.
Zeta thinks for a minute. I could possibly link the signal to his ship.
Perfect.
I'll also write his name on it.
Guido was here.
That might be overdoing it.
Understood.
We cut to the heap, and we see that large pod racer is being powered down, sort of taxiing, being pulled by a sled. There's a bunch of droids that attend it, a couple of humans as well. You recognize that as Gidokara's racer. He's nowhere to be seen.
I walk up to the pit crew.
Hey, watch out, watch out. And he's waving through the pod racer. Yeah.
I step back a little bit.
They move it through. He turns. Yeah, can I help you? Gidu's not around.
Yes, I need you to take me to him.
He's very busy. There's a race tomorrow. I think he might have already gone back to the ship. It's something I can help you with.
I wave a hand and say, bring me to Gidu.
Roll treachery.
It just works on weak-minded.
I have to roll
individuals.
useful.
Yeah,
I have
give me
to
a roll.
useful.
Well, you had the
You had a plus
I don't
one.
know if
you,
you want
had
us
those
to
two
do
uses to get to
one of
Gita.
the holds.
Yeah, we'll say that
Yeah.
hold you can use you use that and you influence this person right away. It says, I'm going to take you to Gidu. Right this way. And there's a small atmospheric craft. And
brutal.
He just leads you right up to it.
All right. I just sit in the craft and wait.
Little passenger craft. A couple of the other pit crew members load up and they sort of look at you, and then they look at the pit commander, and he's just staring straight ahead. Shrug.
What's this force user with lightsabers doing?
Yeah, he does the thing where he
I'm
like
sharpening my lightsabers.
he sits and like crosses his arms and huddles in the corner. The ship leaves the atmosphere. It's not a long trip, and it pulls up to this craft. It looks like a manta ray. It's a Baudo class star yacht. It is red with orange stripes across it, bulbous thrusters on the back, and then on the underside towards the front, there's this. It looks like the capsule of a dirigible. It's this very beautiful, elegant-looking ship, and this craft pulls into a hangar bay on the underside of it, and everyone gets out. And the pit boss comes and goes, right this way, and walks you. And there's a little bridge viewing area, and you see a Sullustan individual. I don't know which character in Star Wars is like this. They have those sort of, it's like jowls, like alien jowls that come off the side.
Lando's co-pilot, right?
Yep.
In return.
What's his name?
Is it
Antilli, isn't it? No.
That's Wedge.
No,
Antilles.
Wedge.
I think his name is like Nib Nub or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Something racist.
Wow.
Yeah, Google it. They're funny looking things. But he's in his flight suit. He looks like a pilot. Stands up, looks in confusion at his pit crew manager. What's this? Can I help you?
Gidu Kara, I assume?
Yes.
My name is Karn.
Karn of the guillotine, Commander Karn.
I've come here because I've made a horrible mistake. And I'm afraid only you can help me with it.
He sort of shifts uncomfortably. What do you mean?
I placed quite a large bet on the race tomorrow.
Well, good luck. I'm sorry I don't participate in the betting.
No, I've placed a bet on you to win. And from what I understand, that was a mistake.
It seems uncomfortable. You know, I'm one of the premier pilots in this sector.
I do. I've followed your races quite closely, and, well, there's no one quite as fast on open ground, correct?
That is correct. I hold record times on Jakku.
And how about that third turn on the Abyss?
Yes, it will be challenging, but
You won't be able to use all 4 boosters there,
I suspect not.
but Manu will. He has a tighter turning radius, doesn't he? At least that's what I keep hearing. And he knows the track. He's raced on it, 100 times?
One turn does not make a track. Those old age pod racers are out of date.
There's quite a debate going on about exactly that. But they say with 4 limbs controlling 4 boosters independently, you can take a lot of turns a lot faster.
Do you come offering me advice?
No, I come offering you this. And I hold up the little device that Zeta gave me. I say, I have a slicer. He is the best. I'd be willing to put on a demonstration to prove that to you if you need it. All I need you to do is make sure that this gets onto Manu's pod.
Do you understand what you're asking me to do?
Do you understand how much credits I have on this race?
I don't. Enlighten me.
Enough that Typhon, enough to make Typhon a very rich man.
I'm not interested in making Typhon a rich man.
No, I'm not interested in losing all those credits. This won't kill Manu, but it'll slow him down on the third turn.
Give me leverage. Give me apply leverage. Suave. Can use that +1. If you'd like.
That's a 12 then. I don't need my trained diplomat thing. It's not treachery yet. It's
He
still
just whispers, give into the dark side.
Do it.
I put it down on a console and then I turn and leave, sensing that.
He looks at you as you turn, and then as we fade out, we just see Gidu looking down at this device. He reaches for it. We cut back to the cantina.
It's kind of perfect that I got a dark treachery, dark side point for
Yeah.
100%. It's kind of perfect.
We're at the cantina that overlooks the race. It was a bustle. Everyone is here, or they're outside. You look out and you see all along the edge of this platform are people. You see gondolas. They're all stationary, but there's several of them lined up on these lines, and they're full of people. We hear, and you just hear, and we cut down to this wide stretch of the track. We see 9 racers. We see droids and individuals all scattering away as boosters are fired up. We pass by the large 4-booster pod of Gidu Kara. We pass by a couple of other ones, look like fresh-faced amateur racers. We see the long, slender boosters, plasma emissions from the back, and we see the Doug 4 limbs are manipulating controls as we pass by just a little bit, just a small little look at the back of the chassis, and a small little device is affixed to the underside of it, out of place. And then we go to the back. John.
Yeah.
What does this pod look like?
Piece of shit.
You see what
The Dodge Stratus of pod racers.
completely mismatched colors, metal types, everything. The engines are somewhat recognizable as Z95 headhunter engines with the cowling mostly on them, but a lot of the cowling has been removed where vents are added that are kind of popping up, letting steam out and air and hot air come out. On the back is a different color, they're like a gray, like a carbon gray, and then with a couple red stripes from Old Republic livery, all kind of faded. And then on the back are these orange afterburners that have been affixed to the back of these from the original engines. And then the pod itself is just a hodgepodge of gray, red, brown, blue, every piece of scrap you could get a hold of to get this thing up and running. And then in the back there is a hole cut out, and you see S3's head popping out of the back, kind of looking back and left and right as this thing kind of shimmies and shake and kind of hovers over the ground. Yeah, I know, S3. The fuel feeder is a little tight. It'll be fine once we get going.
And there's a sort of lull. All of the engines seem to harmonize. You get this low hum as the crowd becomes quiet. Everyone in the cantina is quietly turning and looking up at a couple of these droids holding up this long attachment, these big lights all along it. and you just see red light, green light, and blackout. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wings of Kani. Intro and outro music by Galactic Empire. Check them out at Galactic Empire Official on social media. Our Nasty Graham theme music by A Wilhelm Scream. Dramatic voiceover by Liv. Check her out at Musings of a Polyhedron on Substack. Check us out on nastygrahampod.com. You can get full bios of all the cast. You can get all the links to our social media, links to the feed with all of our back content. So head on over, check out the Nastygram Lounge on Facebook, and chat with us, and tell us your favorite force powers.
That's nasty.
And the boss.
Wait, who was Typhon?
Who was Luca?
Luca is the guy that yelled "No Jedi" when
yeah.
he came in, and the bartender told him to shut up.
Was he just a drunk guy yelling "No Jedi"? Nice. I love it.
I go kill him with my lightsaber.
I'm wanted on 12 systems.
You think about it, like in the canon of Star Wars, what a ridiculously bad idea it was for Obi-Wan to pull his lightsaber out in a cantina.
Yeah.
100%.
Just getting unloaded upon.
So bad. So bad.
But that hive of scum and villainy, what are they going to do? Tell the stormtroopers?
They did. And then the stormtrooper showed up.
Oh, fuck. That's right.
And it was evil.
It was evil. Yeah. It was not a proper escalation of force.
No, he didn't threaten him, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, whatever, he
Also,
drunk threatened him.
He
But
totally could have just, mind tricked him.
Yeah.
Been like, you don't want to bother us.
No, he has a very...
He'd already shown that force power. They need to show the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. His fucking hollow arm just falls off.
Alrighty.
They're going to get...
Someone fell off.
It's going to get Regis' corpse.
Yeah.